Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching the John Woodard Show. We have the opportunity to talk with an old friend today. Donald Kirkland is running for the North Carolina House again, as he did 2 years ago, and was narrowly defeated and expects a better result this time. Donald, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good, doing good. Um, we fought COVID. We've had it twice. We've had a few deaths in the family with my kid's mother passing away and my mother passing, and since the election, so it's been a little stressful. But we just keep plugging along because every day we're above ground, we're supposed to be good.
Well, the this time you're running for the House again, but you've got a primary this time, and then eventually in the general election, you'll be going against Hunter again, correct?
Correct. And Hunter's already indicated that he's worried about this seat flipping because of all the work that's been done and the way the maps have been redrawn. Um, Now, a little bit about my primary is, now I'm not in what's called a generic primary. In other words, it's a primary that was created by the Congressional District 1 Chairman, Harvey West. He contacted upwards of 12 people, 5 that I have verified, offering them to run for me, against me in the primary, because I stood up to him when I resigned as chairman here in Harford County of that party, so that I could run my race ethically and not be involved in the party politics. Um, Bill Ward was the second person he contacted, and Bill Ward initially told him no after some discussions with Bob Steinberg. At that point, he went on to several other people, to include a fellow named Mr. Swain in Camden County, another lady named Angie, and he even approached Thomas Hill was the first person, and a few others. All of them told him no. So an hour before primary started, Ed Goen contacted Bill Ward. Now all these people were offered a paid consultant, and they were going to pump money into campaigns and whatnot. This is what I was told by these individuals. And so all this has been made known to Chairman Watley through other channels, and it's something that a generic primary is fine. That's when anybody that wants to run on their own accord does so. But when you create a primary, that's an issue because it violates party rules, and you're not supposed to do that. Running against him in a regular primary, if he just wanted to jump in on his own, that was fine. I wouldn't care. But this is something that needs to be brought to the attention of the people to let them know what's going on. And it's not having nothing to do with the House caucus. The House GOP caucus does not have anything to do with this. Neither does the state party GOP. There was just 4 individuals that were involved in this that did not have the approval of anyone.
Well, having been down this road before, is there anything that has transpired in the besides the obvious up in Washington D.C. That you feel will make the result of this election more favorable?
This election is more favorable for Republicans because one is gas prices, because it's not just a federal issue with gas prices; it's a local state issue with the raising of gas taxes, and then they're talking about waiving the gas tax, and nobody is on the same page on doing anything in the state. Since Governor Cooper won't get rid of the Unconstitutional Emergency Act for COVID, he could easily stay gas prices and say that they cannot rise above this no more. He could stay the prices if he wanted to under the Emergency Powers Act, because he will not release us from that executive order. There are several things that they could do to stem the price of gas. I'm not an economist, so when you're talking about gas prices, things like that, you would have to talk to a specialist. I just know that we need to look at different tax codes. We need to look at ways to regulate some of these gas companies to bring down this price. The other issue is the schools. You know, over the last couple of years with parents teaching the kids at school, we have learned, I mean, you're teaching at home, we have learned exactly what's being taught in these schools that's been hidden from the public. CRT and every other acronym you can think of, SEL and any other Equity Act acronym that you can think of, is what they're using to hide CRT in. And that's got to come out of schools. Because, you know, I have a biracial grandson. I'm not telling him only half of him matters. I'm not telling tens of thousands of other kids out there and adults who are biracial that only half of them matters, that one of their parents don't matter. You can't do that. You know, every single life in this country is the same. At least that's what I've always been. What I've always been of the thought process of. And then you got the pornographic material that's in schools, those books that are pictorial and, you know, describing how, you know, how for kids to have sex with boys on boys and whatnot. If we were to do that with our kids and with somebody else's kids, we would go to prison. The school system can do it, and they can get away with it under the banner of education, and nothing happens to them. And we've got to change that. All that's got to come out of schools. So I stand with Mark Robinson on that, on his initiative on trying to get rid of all this pornography and the CRT and the indoctrination out of our schools. The other is economics. You know, we lost business during the unconstitutional shutdown by Governor Cooper. We lost business, we lost income, we lost lives, all unnecessary. You know, these are things that's got to be reined in. And the only way we're going to do it is for people to go to Raleigh to have the backbones that's going to represent the people. When I go to Raleigh, I'm going to go there to represent those that voted for me. I'm not going there to represent an ideology. Do I have my own beliefs? Absolutely. But I have to go there for the beliefs of the people that send me there. And that's what we're lacking in Raleigh, and have been for decades.
Well, one of the problems that most people believe about the legislature is that the members of the House and the members of the Senate seem to have they want to be like the three monkeys: see, hear, and speak no evil. And they don't want to come out and oppose, matters that they say will obviously be vetoed by Governor Cooper, a Democrat. So they don't do anything, you know, and people are really angry that they don't stand up for what they believe in. If you know that the governor's going to veto something, put it in front of him and make him do it. Don't just give up. Don't take the defeatist attitude. But that's what they do.
And that's the problem with people who are sitting in Raleigh. They're going up there, they'll do a bill, and let's say they have a split vote, and they know it's not going to be passed by the governor. They'll put it to the side. They won't try to go ahead and continue to push it and force the other individual's hand. I'm going to give you an example of Howard Hunter. Howard has only overridden a veto. I think his score is 2-1 of overriding vetoes. Every year that the budget came up, Howard Hunter, he would either vote for the budget, and then when it came time to override the veto, he would vote for the governor. The only reason why they passed this budget this time is because they know they're going to take a shellacking in November. This budget should have been passed years ago. It's the first one that's been passed since McCrory was governor. And people don't understand that. It had all the teacher pay raises in there, had all the state employees pay raises in there, had all the tax incentives in there for, you know, for businesses and for people. And it all kept getting pushed on the back burner. And nothing was ever brought out about it when I ran against Howard Hunter the first time by the state GOP or the House caucus. And it should have been. But he has an abysmal record for voting. the Born Alive Act. He voted against it. To protect babies that are born after a botched abortion. And as far as I'm concerned, that's one of the most derelict things that you could do is to vote against protecting the baby. He voted against gun rights to allow, guns in certain areas, and he has a visible rating with the NRA and grassroots and Civitas and other groups. Because I've researched his record, so anybody's welcome to go research those records, because they're all public. Anything you do as a public official is public record.
Well, I hope that we don't encounter this situation I'm about to tell you about down here in North Carolina. But in the state of Maryland, they have been working on a bill. It hasn't gone to a vote yet, but they've been working on a bill that would give the mother unfettered right to terminate a baby at any point in the birth process, all the way up to the time that the baby is born, and for 28 days after birth. If that doesn't turn your stomach, I don't know what does. And so, I don't know whether we face that here or not, but boy, the Democrats have gone way out on their skis with this one, and we'll just have to see what happens back here. But we need people like you that are pro-life and will oppose abortion. So many legislators today don't seem to have any intestinal fortitude.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm on the, when it comes to abortion, I don't like it. I can't stand it. And years ago, I never really gave it much thought. I mean, I was younger. It just never really crossed my mind about abortion because I've just never, associated myself with that kind of issue with women. Because, I had my kids, we raised them. We never really talked about it and thought about it. But when you lose a child of your own, it starts making you question things. I've always believed, and even in recent surveys, that rape and incest were two plausible reasons that a woman could have an abortion up to a certain dedicated time frame. So if she found out when she was raped and she found out she was pregnant, 6 weeks pregnant, she should be given a week to terminate that pregnancy. If she doesn't, then she has to keep it, either let it keep it or let it be adopted. And same way with the health of the mother. But I've been through conversations with other 20 and 30-year-olds and whatnot. My thought process has been changing on that. Because science has come out showing that, the viability and heartbeat of a baby can be heard as early as a few weeks. We've had a family member to have a baby that was born seriously premature, and right now is thriving, thank God. That baby was blessed to have parents and doctors and whatnot take care of it. And I abhor abortions. But the problem we have here in North Carolina is I think we have a time limit of 20 weeks or something like that, but there's no other stipulation to limit the ability to have an abortion. So even if I couldn't get a bill that completely abolished abortions altogether in this state, which we're still waiting on the Supreme Court to make a ruling on that now, if they're ever going to overturn Roe v. Wade. Even if we couldn't get a bill that outright abolished abortion completely, I would co-sponsor a bill that would put limits for rape, incest, health of the mother, and have a strict time limit of when a few days to find out their pregnancy for the first two, and then for the health of the mother, that would be between her and the doctor. And they would have to be verifiable by two different physicians. However, I'm torn because I don't like abortions, but we don't have anything on the books either to stem it. So if we have to take baby steps to get there, I'm willing to do that so we can get to where we ultimately want to go, which is abolish abortions.
Well, like Ronald Reagan said, if it's between a partial loaf and no loaf, he'll take the partial loaf, then come back and get some more later. I mean, that's a generalization of what he said, but not specifically, but that was the intent of what he said. So,
well, and that implies with the abortion, and that implies with the abortion issue. When you've got an issue with abortion and you have nothing on the books, you got to start somewhere. I'll give you a prime example here in Harford County. We had nothing on our books to stem solar farms. So we had to create something. No one agreed 100%. So we took what measures we thought that we could actually implement and get across the field goal to get where we ultimately wanted to go. And so, there is a lot of compromise. You have to be willing to compromise some. But I will never compromise my morals and values. Never. That's one reason why they created the primary on me, because I won't compromise my values. I just won't do it.
well, there are other social issues that are important, but then there's also financial issues, and what we're seeing with the what's coming out of Washington seems to be a defined intent to tear down the economy of the United States and institute this socialist Marxist theory that has never worked at any time in our history, but they think, I guess, that they're smarter and going to learn by the mistakes of the past. So eventually, that's going to come to the states and people like you. What do you think about that?
Well, anything that has to do with socialism has no place to be in North Carolina or the United States, period. I served in the Army during the Cold War. I've been to 8 countries, and I've been to all 4 corners of Canada. I've seen socialism and socialist governments. And during my time overseas, when I was stationed in West Germany, I was able to go to these countries, and I've seen it up up close and personal. I had an ex-wife, someone I married, her parents were concentration camp survivors, tattoos and everything. They told me the horror stories. They took me around to the places. I've been to places where most people have never been. That's in America. And I've seen the other side of East Germany in areas where you can get through without, being, detected. So I've seen it up close and personal. We don't want it here in the United States. And as a representative of this state, it'll never happen under my watch. I'll fight it tooth and nail, no different today than I did 30 plus years ago. Because my oath to this country did not end when I took off that uniform. It's with me till the day I die. My opponent, I have no idea.
What service did you serve in, buddy?
Army.
What was your rank at discharge?
E4. I've rapidly advanced from E1 to E4 in less than 18 months.
How long were you in the military?
Right at 3 years. My first term was 2 years. I re-enlisted for three more, and then my lungs were injured, so I got out on a disability discharge honorable. I achieved the Army Achievement Medal for meritorious service, and my overseas ribbon, as well as personal accolades and whatnot that I just don't go into about commandments, whatnot they said to me personally. Because those are personal conversations.
Well, there's we've got this war in Ukraine, and it seems as though the everybody's on the Zielinski bandwagon as a modern day hero. Do you know anything about him? Have you studied up on him?
I've read a little bit about him being a comedian and an entertainer and whatnot, and wanting to become president. I really can't say much on that issue because Donald Trump was an entertainer and a media personality. So that part aside, I don't know much about Ukrainian politics because for decades they've been corrupt. And the Biden family and whatnot has been involved in all that. And so when it comes to Zelensky as being president, I have to look at what his actions are now, compared to what they were, prior. And I think he's done a stellar job at rallying the world around his country, trying to defend his people. The real ones in Ukraine that I think are the heroes are the citizens who are picking up weapons and fighting to defend their home. 80-year-olds, 60-year-olds, 18-year-olds who are not in the military, have no military training. They're going out there picking these weapons and defending their homes with rifles, handguns, Molotov cocktails, and in some cases building steel barriers to keep tanks from coming in. My hero, I look at the Ukrainian people as the hero in that war, not so much as Zelensky. I just look at him as being the leader and the president, doing what he needs to do in his capacity as president. Again, like I said, my hero is the people, on that issue.
When Harvey West was doing, his effort to primary you and then ultimately succeeded, tell me again what was the basis of why he was trying to oust you as a candidate?
In Herbert County, our former chairman switched parties to unaffiliated, and his entire family did, and they were the bulk of the committee. So we had no one. And I was asked if I would become the chairman and take it over. And I said yes, but it will be temporary. Because when filing comes, I'm going to resign and I'm going to file and run. Because I don't believe in being chairman or an officer on the board and being a candidate at the same time. Party rules said I could do it. Ethically, I don't think it was right. Now, during this time frame, now Harvey West knew this because he was at the meeting when I announced this to everyone that was there. During that time frame, I was notified we had no one on the Board of Elections. They had resigned for the county. So I had to work with the state, try and find someone willing to serve on the Board of Elections. I was able to do that and got that appointed. Then I found out from the former chairman that we had a $500 fine because he did not file the fourth quarter 2020 financial report with campaign finance. So during that time, I contacted everybody, and I've been working with the campaign finance in Raleigh, trying to get that waived or reduced. They wouldn't budge because he had not filed the first quarter report in 2020, and they had waived that fine. So, and getting people to come to the meetings, getting everybody involved was just getting to the point, and we were getting closer and closer to where I needed to start concentrating on. In October, I need to start looking toward December, getting ready to file, and start running a campaign. So I texted Harvey and I told him that I was going to resign. And I said, but I'm going to stay in phone conversation. I'm going to stay until I get the fine resolved, and then once that's done, I'm gone. I said, I've gotten everything else done. I got all the paperwork done. Party was straightened out with the state, and all that. And he knew this. And so I got all that done, and I got the, he said, well, if you stay with us, stay as chairman to the end of the year, we'll make sure, we'll help you with the fine. Well, it kept getting closer and closer time to file. Nothing was coming. So the county party had $100 in the bank. I took $400 out of my personal pocket, not my campaign, because I hadn't filed for office yet. I took $400 out of my pocket, gave it to the county, and I paid the fine. And I resigned immediately. Now here's the thing. Michael Watley knew about all this when he came to my county May 29th, just before the state convention, because April Wood was here, Trey Allen was here, their cohorts were with them. My board was here, Arthur Mitchell and Julie Doctor, they were all here, and Michael Watley was there. And I told him straight to his face that I was not going to stay as chairman once I filed for office. That they will need to get someone to come and take it over. And I told him about the primary, because we were talking about primaries. I said, look, we don't need a primary in this district. I worked too hard to get name recognition for a candidate, trying to get to where we can actually beat Howard Hunter. And I told Michael, I said, y'all didn't do anything to help me in my campaign against Howard. The House caucus didn't do anything. I said, I did it all on my own with a few other people to help. And we almost beat him. And we did it during COVID where we couldn't campaign. And I said, so we don't need a primary. And, of course, Michael said he believed in primaries, it was helping. And I don't have a problem with a generic primary. But I told him, I said, don't create a primary. I said, because that's the worst thing you could do in this area, to create a primary. And he said, well, we don't create primaries. He said, they have to be, up and up and generic. They got to be, of a person's own free will to run. So Michael Watley knew about this on May 29th. And so all this was going on. And finally, once I got the fine paid, I resigned and I went and filed for the NCI. Because Howard Hunter was actually there when I filed. And then that night, it was announced at the Pasquotank County meeting because Thomas Hill went to that meeting that night to speak for something else. And he let them know that I had filed for the NC House 5. Well, when Bill Wood was asked if he was still chairman, had anybody filed for that office, he told the day of the advance no. Even though he knew well in advance that I had already filed. So, and Howard West had been working on trying to get a created primary since November.
Well, it's very unfortunate.
It really is. And like I said, the state GOP, as far as I know, had nothing to do with it except for one paid individual, and which was Jason Simmons. And then you had Harvey West, and you had a House member, and you had a member out of the Pasquotank party that was involved in all this too. But it had nothing to do with the House caucus or the state GOP. As they did not sanction it at all.
Well, the area that you reside in is a very agriculturally driven community, and you know a lot of those folks, don't you?
I do. I grew up with some of these farmers around here. I went to high school with them. Before I moved off with the military and raised my family and whatnot, came back. And in Hereford County alone, we have, I think, I want to say more than 10 solar farms. We have the largest solar farm in the state, in this county.
Yeah.
And a lot of the farmers are turning the land over to solar farms because they can make more money. They just don't make enough money on crops. Everything from the market to that moron that's sitting in Washington, D.C. right now, with his decisions and whatnot. Tariffs hurt, as far as some of that stuff too. So a lot of these farmers are suffering. They're suffering from high gas prices, where the diesel, because as you know as well as I do, these tractors take a lot of fuel to run these farms.
Yes, sir.
And so when you got fuel that's running $4 or $5 a gallon, and easily a tractor could go through $300 in a day, of fuel in that tractor, or more. Depends on how long that tractor runs that day. It could go 24 hours if they had enough people running it. It gets really costly for that farmer. And we got to find something to help them, because if we don't have farmers, we don't have food. Unlike some of these liberals that think, the food just magically pops up on the shelves in the store. It actually has to be grown. And people, men and women that do that hard work out there in the fields, they work their butts off during the farming season. But I have a field across the street from where I live at now that they grow different crops, tobacco, not so much tobacco anymore, but cotton and soybean stuff like that. So as our farmers are suffering, and how can we fix it? I don't know. I've got to look at different legislation that's been proposed, see what can work, see what can be combined. The biggest issue is listening to the farmers and find what they want. It's different what I want as somebody who sits in my house, eats the food they produce. I don't get out there and toil in the soil and grow it. So we have to listen ear to them and hear what they've got to say that actually affects their industry. And it's no different in any other industry. Wood pellets in Viva, which is right down the road. We need to know what they need to do to grow and expand. Auto industry. What can we do in this area to attract auto industries to come in here and build cars? Gun manufacturers, larger retail establishments other than Walmart. We've got to listen to what the people want. We've got to listen to what these different individuals that run these businesses want as well.
Well, you've got a big challenge against you, but you ought to be able to make the case that Bill Ward is a man of the city, and you're one of the crowd that is in your county and working every day, and working to support the farmer, and so you ought to be able to carry that message pretty well, I would say.
Yeah, I tell people, a lot of people ask me, what is my story? Where did I come from? And I tell them, look, I was born in Virginia. As a baby, I moved to North Carolina, to Murfreesboro, in the 60s. Left and said went to California, was in foster homes. My father was a severe alcoholic, Vietnam vet. Went all down the side, and he was abusive. We were in foster homes, came out of foster homes, went back to him. I started drinking young, of course, and I followed the same footsteps, military and whatnot. When it comes to the childhood issues, it was molested by a teacher that I just did not get into because at the time, mentally, I could not process it. It took me to my 30s so I could actually, accept what had happened. And I educated my children, to know what to look for. I had my issues with alcohol when I was younger, I quit. And I put on the front page, about my three little misdemeanors I had 30 plus years ago, which, they tried to, run against me, but I put on the front page of the News Herald over 12 years ago. So there's nothing that I put out in the open. So I'm an open book. I got nothing tied. Went in the military at 18, right out of high school, served, 3 years overseas, 2 of them 18 months overseas. Got out, went to college, left that, went to truck driving school, started driving trucks for about 5 years before I wound up getting my disabilities finally caught up to me. And then I kind of just worked for myself here and there over the years, and then finally got into politics. Being a father to 4 kids, 2 that I raised since they were 3 and 5, and then having my own biological kids, it changes you when you become a dad. And you start looking at life a whole lot different. You're no longer the partier, no longer you're going out there, you're self-centered, everything you do from that point on between kids. And I tell people, I'm from here, and I believe in service. Whether I'm helping my neighbor fix their car and don't charge them, or if I'm at the American Legion, where I'm a historian, where I work at the American Legion to help that, or the Sons of the American Legion, where I'm the commander, adjutant chaplain of that, or the boards that I've served on as chairman of the Veterans Advisory Council, as the former chairman of the Herb County Republican Party, current secretary of the Herb County Planning Board, as well as the secretary of the Herb County Zoning Board of Justice. So, I do a lot of service, and that's in addition to all the other stuff that I do. And plus, having my grandson all day, while my daughter works, and we put her through college, and while his dad works 7 days a week. So I stay busy, and running for house is just one of those things, that I want to make sure that District 5 is able to have the things that Raleigh's has and that the western part of the state has. Industry, good paying jobs where people can live instead of just survive, get off welfare, and have a thriving area for business, health, and education. And when you're someone who just touts that you've had within a law enforcement experience, which I support 100%, I never would disparage somebody who's been a law enforcement officer. I believe in them. I actually signed a pledge that you will not defund our police, that you will fund them. I also, as part of my political part, is I believe in term limits. I don't care if you're a dog catcher that's elected or you're president of the United States, you should have term limits. So I signed on to the Article 5 Convention of States strictly for term limits. And if they stray outside that, I'll back away. I've already told them that. And I did that in the last election. That still carries through to today. As well as the tax reform, with, I forget his name, Rover Northwest or somebody like that I signed a pledge with them. So, I stay active. Town council here, I'm always active with them when I have the chance. County commissioner meetings, I engage with them, as much as I can. So I'm always busy, always trying to serve my community, and just trying to get out and make things better for everybody.
Are you familiar with the Convention of States?
I am, and like I said, I alluded to, in 2020, I signed a pledge to support the Article 5 for the Convention of States. Under that, I told them, I talked to them on the phone, as well as I put it in writing to them, that I will only support it so long as they do not stray from term limits. And they said that's fine, because that's all we're going is for term limits. I said, if you stray from that, I'll walk away. And so they agreed with it. And I'll support anything that supports constitutional issues and guarantees our constitutional rights. Everything from the First Amendment, which I've had mine violated before, Second Amendment, Fourth Amendment, all these rights tie into the Convention of States, because these are career politicians that are making these decisions on us. People have been in office 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years or longer. And they've lost touch with reality. They've lost touch with the core reason why they went there was to serve a few years, come home, and live under the same rules that they just passed. And we got to get back to that kind of mindset.
Well, buddy, I tell you, it's been enjoyable talking to you. I look forward to seeing you when you're over here campaigning, and I wish you a lot of luck.
I appreciate that. I will be over there the 29th at that Albemarle Plantation house for that event with Michael Watley being there as guest speaker. I'll be there at that, and I'll be at some other events that's over there as well for next month.
Wonderful.
All right, thank you, John.
Well, thank you very much, Donald, and good luck to you on the campaign trail.
Thank you, buddy. God bless you.